How's it going, everyone? It's Harvey from Weather Sponge 1000, and in this video we're going to forecast the amount of wind shear you should expect throughout the Northern Atlantic this hurricane season, because it plays a big role in terms of how many tropical storms and hurricanes we will experience in the Atlantic this hurricane season. Will we see less wind shear than usual, or will we see more wind shear than usual, which could potentially inhibit tropical cyclone formation if there is a little bit more wind shear? But if there's a little bit less wind shear, we could see more hurricanes. So we need to pay very close attention to that this hurricane season. But before I begin, make sure to subscribe for more weather related content. So let's begin by taking a look at the CFS climatology model, which forecasts the amount of wind shear we should expect in the upper levels of the atmosphere. And it's a major concern at this point, because you see that pretty much most of the Northern Atlantic is under the purple shade, which means that there's less or weaker upper level winds than usual, at least expected between the 3-month average of August, September, and October, which are the 3 most active months of the hurricane season. So this is definitely a major concern that we're seeing a reliable climatology model like the CFS model forecast a large portion of the North Atlantic to experience less wind shear than usual. And in the areas where the deficit is at its highest, we're seeing a heavy amount of lack of wind shear right around the northeast, and we're seeing quite a low amount of wind shear as well throughout the western portion of the African coast, right around the main developed region, which is key. And we do see a lot less wind shear as well throughout the middle of the Atlantic, and we see that extend to the Gulf of Mexico and Caribbean as well. So as a result of this, we should expect more tropical storms and hurricanes than average for the rest of the hurricane season. And keep in mind, while it may seem quiet right now, for one thing is that we're in a positive MJO pattern, which means that conditions are less favorable for tropical cyclone formation, at least within the next 30 days or so. And plus, we're still in the early part of the hurricane season, so we easily could see, or likely will see, the hurricane season become a lot more active by the time we reach August and September, and will only be helped by the fact that we're going to see a lot less wind shear than usual this hurricane season, which is definitely a major concern. Now, another thing we need to pay close attention to is the Enzo Outlook, because that plays another major role in terms of the amount of wind shear we should experience right around Northern Atlantic. So this update as of June 2022, and you see that the most likely scenario is that we will be in a La Nina phase for the months of August, September, and October. So as a result, we should expect less wind shear than usual thanks to a La Nina, because we typically see a lot more of an upward motion right around the Northern Atlantic, which promotes more convection, and as a result inhibits or brings us wind shear, because all that air is diverging away from the Atlantic in the upper levels rather than towards the Atlantic. So as a result, the wind shear lightens during a La Nina, and this map exactly shows why, because we see the sea surface temperatures right around the equatorial Pacific at cooler than average, which as a result creates a more stable environment where the temperatures are cooler than average, and we see a lot more drier than average conditions, which promotes more of a sinking motion in the atmosphere, which is why fewer hurricanes occur right around the eastern Pacific, but more hurricanes occur in the Northern Atlantic, because since so much air is sinking here, there needs to be an equal and upward motion somewhere else, and that likely would be more right around the Northern Atlantic, where the sinking air over here promotes more of an upward motion in the Northern Atlantic for more hurricanes and tropical storms to form. So as a result, we should expect a little bit less wind shear, because all the upper level winds are going to be trying to face towards the equatorial Pacific, because this is where all the sinking air is, and the air that's risen aloft right around the Northern Atlantic is going to want to sink somewhere, and it has to move eastward, which is the same direction as the trade winds along the surface, which promotes a weaker, a lessly sheared environment for the Atlantic. So thanks to a La Nina, and thanks to what the CFS computer models are currently forecasting, we should expect less wind shear than average for the North Atlantic, which should promote more tropical storms and hurricanes in general, and more major hurricanes as well. Now, another thing I want to show you guys that's often overlooked by a lot of meteorologists is the precipitation anomalies right around the Saharan desert area, the Saharan dust region. So if I were to show you guys that, what studies have shown is that enhanced precipitation over the West African area has been shown to favor tropical cyclone formation by reducing the amount of shear in the main developed region. So the amount of precipitation that occurs over the Saharan the Saharan desert area, as well as Western African coast, plays a major role in terms of how strong the wind shear is. Typically, when there's a little bit more precipitation, we see less wind shear in the main developed region, thus promoting more tropical cyclones than average. And it's shown by taking a look at this graph, because we do see that in the years where there's a lot less precipitation than average, such as right around the mid 1980s, we see less tropical cyclones in the main developed region, and in the years where we see more precipitation than average, right around the Saharan desert area, we see more tropical cyclones than average. So there's a clear correlation between the amount of precipitation in the Saharan desert area, as well as the amount of tropical cyclones that develop in the main developed region, and it's pretty much due to the fact that an enhanced amount of precipitation will lead to less wind shear in the main developed region. So taking a look at we need to take a look and see taking a look at what typically happens during La Nina. So we need to take a look at so here are the precipitation anomalies for this past month, and we do see that it's been a little bit more moist than average for the Saharan desert area, which would likely promote less lightly sheared environment for this hurricane season, because we're seeing more precipitation than average right around the African coast, which will promote a little bit more less wind shear, and as a result, more tropical cyclones to develop in the main developed region of the Atlantic this year. And we could even see the 90-day percent of normal rainfall. We do see that it's a little bit more moist than average right around the area where low pressure systems come off the African coast. So as a result, I do expect less wind shear than average for the main developed region, for more tropical cyclones than usual to form. Now, another thing we need to take a look at is, of course, the CFS computer models take when it comes to the precipitation anomaly over the 3-month period between August, September, and October. And what's concerning is that we do see a large area where the precipitation anomalies are a little bit higher than normal, which would encourage less wind shear than average in the main developed region. So as a result of all these factors, such as the La Nina, the CFS model forecasting less wind shear than average, as well as the precipitation anomalies higher than average in the Sahara desert area, we should expect less wind shear than average and more tropical cyclones to form than what you typically expect for the Atlantic. And another thing we need to take a look at is the Arctic Oscillation Index. So pretty much what happens during a positive Arctic oscillation, we see less jet stream dips because the westerly winds are a little bit stronger. So as a result of less jet stream dips, we see less wind shear than average. But during a negative Arctic oscillation, we see more jet stream dips, and as a result, more wind shear than average. And you see that we've been in a trend where we've been in a positive Arctic oscillation, which certainly isn't good news, because if it stays in the positive range, then we should expect even less wind shear than average. And based on this forecast, it looks like it's expected to continue even during the main part of the hurricane season into August and September. So I think it's pretty much inevitable at this point. We will see a lot less wind shear than average for the hurricane season. So you need to stay prepared for that and be prepared for quite an active hurricane season as a result of that. Now, to show you guys my forecast when it comes to the amount of wind shear you should expect throughout the entirety of the Northern Atlantic, I expect the least amount of wind shear to happen around the northeast, at least relative to average, the Gulf of Mexico, and right just off the west coast of Africa. And of course, it's for obvious reasons. The precipitation anomalies are higher than average in the Saharan dust area, and various other factors such as the La Nina expected to build into the expected to stay for the main part of the hurricane season, as well as the fact that CFS climatology model is forecasting less wind shear than average. So as well, I do expect a more hyperactive season for 2022. But remember, whether this season is more active than usual, around average, or less active than usual, remember that all it takes is one major hurricane or tropical system to completely devastate an entire community. So don't underestimate the hurricane season just because it may have fell below your expectations when it comes to amount of storms, because remember, all it takes is one storm. But yeah, guys, I guess that's it for this video. I thank you guys for watching. Make sure to subscribe if you want to see more weather-related content, and I hope you guys all have a great day.